Do you struggle with applying decoupage paper or get bubbles in it? I am going to teach you how to master decoupage in just 10 minutes using a household item you probably already have. Hi, I'm Rachel and I have decoupaged on tabletops, wooden crates, coasters, you name it. So if you want to successfully decoupage, then these are the tricks and tips that you'll need. So what is going to make all our lives easier when applying decoupage successfully? It is this, which in the UK is called cling film. This might be plastic wrap, saran wrap, glad wrap, but whatever it is, this is your household item, which is going to make your life so much easier when applying decoupage. Depending on the type of paper that you are using for your decoupage is what kind of adhesive you need. So for this first project, I'm going to use a simple clear coat that I would put on top of a painted project. And that will be plenty for applying some thin paper such as the rice paper that I'm going to do. And I will show you a little bit later on what to use if you're using a thicker paper such as a poster paper. I've got a simple A3 canvas that I'm going to use for this project. If you've been lucky enough to snag a canvas from a charity shop or thrift shop that already has a picture on it, that is not a problem, and I've shown in a previous video how you can cover that up, still end up with the beautiful result of the new picture that you want. So check that out if you're interested in that. If your picture is smaller than the canvas that you want to apply it to, then you can blend the edges with some paint. My top tip for blending the edges is to build up layers of the colours of paint that you think are in the picture. That helps mask the line between the edge of the picture. And if, like this one, your canvas is smaller than your original picture, just trim it down to size with the part of the picture that appeals to you most. Step one is to get the back of your decoupage paper that you've chosen slightly damp with your mist bottle. Now this isn't wet, this is just slightly damp, and then you can set it aside before applying your decoupage medium that you've chosen to attach. I'm going to set that aside for a second and then I'm going to start applying my clear coat to the canvas. Essentially, you want to make sure that the piece is entirely covered. And if you can't quite tell if it has been covered, if you hold it up to the light, you should be able to see if there are any missing spots, particularly where you get to the edges. And if you do miss a spot on the edge, they are the easiest bit to sneak a bit of extra clear coat into after you have finished. Trouble is, often we only have one version of the picture that we want to use, and it can be a little bit scary. Oh, what if I mess up? Yeah, what if we mess up? But what if we don't and it looks great and you love it? Just go back and even out your strokes before you attach your paper. Next step, we want to get our cling film, and what you're doing is essentially just getting a ball of cling film. This is going to be how you attach your decoupage paper really smoothly. You basically want to start from the middle, because the middle is going to be the hardest place to get bubbles out of. And then you're just using your cling film, just glides over the picture much more smoothly than your hand would. And if you see a bubble, because you've wet the paper already, you've got a bit of time to lift it back up again and smooth it back down. Okay, so now I've finished the bottom half. I'm going to go back, start smoothing out that top part. This one, you can see there's no bubbles. It's looking really nicely attached to the canvas. That's exactly what you want from your decoupage paper. The next step, if your decoupage paper is larger than your canvas, like mine is here, is to sand or cut the edges so it's nice and smooth. Your paper might be exactly the right size for the canvas that you've chosen. It might be too big, it might be too small. If it is too small, then you can paint around the edges if you want to blend the paper into the canvas. and I've done a video on how to do that. So what about that all-important poster paper? The difference is the glue. And in this case, we're going to use PVA glue. You might know it as white glue or Elmer's glue. Here is the poster that we're working with. And again, first things first, we're going to spritz it with just some simple water. It just gives it a bit more flexibility in how long you have to work with it. So this is my very basic canvas board, some MDF, and I am going to apply it with a simple lollipop stick. Because this is hard, it scrapes all of the glue and you get that more even amount of glue across the piece. And as I want to wrap this canvas, I'm going to take this opportunity while it is drying to cut into the edges so I can nicely wrap the paper around the top of this unattractive piece of MDF. And at this point, I'm going to raise this up just on some paint because edges, I need access to underneath where I'm going. And what can you do with bubbles if you do get them? This is an artist syringe and it just creates a tiny hole in it to release the air and then be able to smooth it out again. And if you're thinking, the canvases are great, but I really come for the candles that are so popular being decoupaged at the moment, then fair enough, because those make great gifts and just look really pretty. And they're quite simple to do, so let me quickly show you how to do that, and then you've got such a good repertoire under your belt of how to crack on with decoupage. What do you need? Well, you need a hairdryer, you need your decoupage paper, you need some tape to attach the decoupage paper, your candle, a wax candle, that is important, and some greaseproof paper or parchment paper, basically something to protect the image while you're drying it with the hairdryer. I'm using this scrap piece of rice decoupage paper that I used on a bookshelf makeover that I did a year, 2 years ago, and I don't like to waste things. First of all, I take off a chunk that I know will just be too big for my candle. It's easier to use it if you trim it down more precisely first. Then finally, you want some parchment paper or greaseproof paper, something that will create a barrier between the hairdryer and your picture. As you would imagine, the hairdryer and the candle do get hot, so if you are particularly sensitive to heat, you might want to wear something to protect your hands. The important thing is to keep the hairdryer moving so you can see when the picture attaches, because the colour changes on the image. And there you have it. That is how quickly you can master the art of decoupage. I hope you found this useful, because this is such a budget-friendly way to update your decor in your home if you want to change it up for the seasons. Looks like it's time for me to go and get some lunch. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, if you learned something new, please consider subscribing. It makes a huge difference to smaller channels like mine and helps keep food on the table. Thanks so much. Until next time, bye. Hello.